I mean, obviously, I've watched the latest games. I watched not only last night's game, but also the games against Watford and against Chelsea. And on TV, when I didn't know that there would be contact in the next days, I also watched out of interest the games against Liverpool and against Manchester City. So I'm pretty well aware and acquainted with what's happening here in the club and in the Premiership. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that the team have abundant talent, young talented players, but also enough experienced players in the squad. But I mean, the major target for me in the next couple of weeks is just to bring more balance into the team. Even yesterday, we conceded 2 goals. We needed 3 goals in the end to win the game. And if you look at the total goals, number of goals conceded, it's almost two on average per game, and this is just too much. So this is my approach to help the team to get more balance, to get more control on the game. And yesterday's game, I mean, it was exciting for the fans, but even for myself as the future coach, those are not the kind of games that you need every day, because in football, for me, it's to minimize the coincidence factor and to have control and gain control on the game. And this is in football what it's about. And this is my approach. I will try to help these outstanding, talented players to try and get and keep the way away from their own goal. You always have to adapt your style or your idea of football to the players you have available, not vice versa. And having seen Cristiano yesterday in the second half, I mean, at the age of 36, amazing, top professional. At his age, I've never seen a player who is still that physically fit, and he's still a player who can easily make the difference. Yes, and it's about how can we develop the whole team. It's not only about Cristiano. I mean, we play in the most competitive league in the world, so we need all the players on board. What I saw from Cristiano yesterday, he's more than willing to do that, to put his input into the team, and the other team, the teammates will have to do the same. I mean, at the time when Chelsea contacted me last year or this year in February, they only spoke about the option to become interim manager for 4 months. So it was in February, without any perspective to work in the long term together. And here now we are talking about 6.5 months. So we only have 1/3 of all the games played in the Premiership. And as you all know, we have also agreed upon a 2-year advisory role after those 6.5 months. And in the end, to be honest, if a club like Manchester United contacts you for such a role, you cannot possibly turn it down. I mean, at the time when Chelsea contacted me last year or this year in February, they only spoke about the option to become interim manager for 4 months. So it was in February. Without any perspective to work in the long term together. And here now we are talking about 6.5 months. So we only have 1/3 of all the games played in the Premiership. And as you all know, we have also agreed upon a 2-year advisory role after those 6.5 months. And in the end, to be honest, if a club like Manchester United contacts you for such a role, you cannot possibly turn it down. I mean, as you all know, I studied when I was a young student. I studied English at university to become an English teacher, English and PE back in the late 70s, early 80s. At the time, I also lived in Brighton, lived in a host family, and since then, I fell in love with English football. When in the 80s, early 80s, I took the fast train from Brighton to Victoria Station, and I watched every 3 days a home game in the old Highbury, in the old White Hart Lane, or even in Liverpool. I went to Goodison. I was not here at the time because that was too far away from Brighton. But since then, I have always very much cherished the way that teams are being supported. And I mean, even yesterday, I think this is absolutely unique. You will find very, very few football clubs in the world with that much of support. This is, for me, football in the purest sense, as it was in those times. And as I said, for me, it's more than exciting to now be part of that atmosphere, and as I said, this should help any team, and especially our players, to get on track and play at the highest on their highest possible level.